Welcome to the third episode of the Norwalk Film Festival Podcast. I'm Sean Fox, one of the volunteer board members of the festival. And whether you're listening or watching the video for the first time, welcome. This is a series of videos to help share the stories of our filmmakers and the stories behind the films that they made before our festival, so that you can get to know them a little bit before seeing the films in person. Today's interview is with writer, actor, producer Keaton Morris-Stanto. She is the multi-hyphenate behind the narrative short Fractal. The film was written by Keaton and directed by Kiara Goldberg. In Fractal, a woman named Grace experiences a miscarriage after a first date leads to an accidental pregnancy. It follows the story of her struggle through three different realities: memory, present day, and a dream of what could have been, asking, how do you mourn the loss of something that you never had? Fractal is a powerful film and is one of the dozens of films that are part of our fourth annual festival. They'll all be screening January 19th through the 21st in Norwalk, Connecticut. We have 2 full days of programming. Fractal is a powerful film and is one of the dozens of films that are part of our fourth annual festival. They'll all be screening January 19th through the 21st in Norwalk, Connecticut. 2 full days of programming with screenings at the historic Wall Street Theater, and then also hosting mixers and panels at the Norwalk Public Library. We're kicking it all off with an opening night party at 314 Beer Garden in South Norwalk on Friday night the 19th. Come out to see some great films and meet some great people, and you never know, you might even meet someone that you can work with to submit to next year's festival. So go to norwalkfilmfestival.com for all of the details. And with all of those details out of the way, here's my interview with Keaton Morris-Stanto. All right, we are joined by producer, writer, and star of Fractal, Keaton Morris-Stanto. Keaton, thanks so much for joining me.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Sean, and thank you to the Norwalk Film Festival for welcoming us into the community.
Yeah, I mean, seeing this, watching this film, it's very powerful and done in a very imaginative way. And so I was very moved in watching it the first time and the second time, for that matter. So that's is a good sign. Before we jump into that, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got started? You know, what was your initial impetus? Like, why did you want to become a writer, actor, filmmaker?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I started in the acting world. Acting was my passion, and I was always a very imaginative child, and I played pretend far beyond the age that was probably appropriate for it. You know, I was in middle school and high school and still wanted to play pretend with my friends, and they were like, "That's not cool anymore." And I think acting has always been sort of an outlet for me and a way of connecting to myself and connecting to others, which is such a wonderful thing that art does for us, I think. And so acting was it. That was my way in. And then during the lockdown, during the pandemic, I didn't have that community anymore. And so I really had an opportunity to turn inwards and turn that creativity in a different direction. And so I got more serious about my writing, and I pulled Fractal out of a piece that I had started a while ago, years ago, and I sort of started working on it and brushing it off and sent it out to a couple of like-minded individuals, and was like, I don't know, like, I kind of want to do something with this, and the feedback that I got was so encouraging and so it fostered that connection, right? Like it was a story that hit with other people, not just with myself. And so that's where it started to get some momentum. And I said, all right, well, let's do it then. Okay. You know, and this was the first time that I had produced, I produced with my my producing partner, Julia Maggiola. And actually we had another film in the Norwalk Film Festival, 2 years ago, maybe.
Is that The Art of Longing?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And so I had done it at that scale, but that was a zero budget project, and was really just like a handful of friends getting together to create something. And so
right, that one was just, I mean, the shoot itself was just the two of you, like, in a house.
Yeah.
So that was, very, very simple compared to this one, like multiple locations and larger cast.
Yeah. So I did production management at the Public Theater for a few years. And so I was able to sort of gain the logistical skills that some of which are easily carried over into the film world. And so when I started out with Fractal, I was speaking to Nancy Negrant, who's my co-producer on Fractal and whom I've worked with several times since then. And she really encouraged me to go for it with this one. She said, I was like, I don't know, I've never really produced anything before. I don't really know what I'm doing. And she was like, trust me, you got this. You can definitely do this. And in talking to my director, Kiara Hagami Goldberg, who's absolutely brilliant, young director, she, was talking to me about it, and she was like, the thing about filmmaking and about art is that you don't have to know everything. Right? You can know one thing, and you start talking to people, and somebody else knows something else, and together you create, right?
Yeah.
And I think that was actually one of my biggest takeaways from working on Fractal is the feeling of collaboration rather than compromise, right?
Yeah.
Is that sometimes you're on a project and it comes out as a compromise, right? It's like, all right, I'll give you this if you give me this. But Fractal just somehow magically came together in a way that was this like true mind melding and heart bending experience where everyone was truly on the same page. And even when there was a disagreement, creatively, we could talk through it in such a way that we all knew that we had the project's best interest at heart. And so the collaboration was absolutely beautiful on this piece.
Well, that's great. I mean, it's such a thing, as you said, filmmaking, it's such a collaborative thing where it's like you have to rely on a gaffer or whoever to like, your production designer, et cetera, to help bring your vision to life, and to have a collaborative environment like that is great. Yeah. The film mentioned that this was based on a dream. Yeah. How did you go from taking a dream to the paper? I have so many dreams that I wake up and I'm like, oh, that was nuts. Yeah. And then like 5 minutes later, my wife's like, what was it? What was your dream about? I'm like, oh, I don't know. There was a house. I don't know. Yeah. So how did you take it from a dream to actual making it a story?
Yeah, well, it's I've always had very vivid dreams, for
okay.
better or for worse.
Yeah.
It's always been something that I've had in me. So that's one thing, and I think the other the way that Fractal was born was a bit more of a, I said based on a dream, but it's a bit more of a like, gosh, not like to sound all like not to sound all new agey, but it was a bit more of a vision, like a flash of a possibility. It was really something that came up for me when I was in a relationship years ago, and the idea of a life that I could have lived with this person, and I think that comes up for us a lot in our lives, right? These
for
different
sure
possible paths, and the ones that we choose to take and the ones that are chosen for us, and that's just fascinating to me.
You mentioned, Kiara, your director. One of the things that really stood out to me was the transition shots between, like, the matching shots in between some of the different settings. Was that something she came to you with, or was that part of your writing? Like, how did you guys collaborate on those visuals?
Yeah, thank you for noticing that. That's wonderful. It was something that a few of those transitional moments were in the script. They were written in. It was something that like was important to the interconnectivity to me of the stories, the overlapping. And for those who haven't seen Fractal yet, it takes
come to the Norwalk Film Festival.
Exactly, come to the festival. Yes. But it takes place over 3 different realities. It's a memory of the past, living in the present day, and a dream of what could have been. And so there's an interweaving of those 3 different realities. And so written into the script are a few of those transitional moments where, there's one, and this doesn't give anything away, but she's drinking a lemonade and in one reality, and then she sets down the glass and suddenly we're in a bar, and she's setting down her drink. So a few of them were written in, and Kiera came in as the director and read it and said, you know what, this is really brilliant. I love this. And she like went with it, and this is what I was talking about, is like the spirit of the collaboration. Is she saw what I was sort of going towards, and she was like, let's go all the way.
Yeah, that's great.
And so yeah, I mean, I couldn't have done it without her. She's a huge part of this project.
Yeah. Also part of it was the rest of the cast, who I thought were great as well. Were you involved in the casting process as part of your producer hat and writer hat and all that?
Yeah, I was coming into it as an actor also. I have so many friends who are actors, and so it's a little bit I don't want to say easier, but
yeah.
I know some people, so
yeah.
So it was that. Yeah, it was also like a serendipitous process. It came together really well.
I do want to. There was one line that I wrote down while watching it that the character Brandon has. Just he says the possibility that it could have been. I just thought that was such a powerful line in that moment. So there's no real question here. That was more just that was such a greatly, such a well worded line, and well delivered, and it just packed so much punch in that moment.
Thank you.
It's more a compliment to your writing and to Brandon, to Michael, to playing Brandon. But anyway, so what was it like in the moment, shooting and producing this, that like having to be the producer and the star? Was there a lot of times you had to switch between different roles, while you're on set, or was it were you able to focus on the acting?
Yeah, well, yes. I think that I mean both, right? I think so. So one thing is that I hired on a friend of mine, Phoebe Dunn, who was my line producer for the days, the week of pre-pro leading up and the shoot itself, and so she was really able to take on a lot of the producerial
duties.
Yes.
Yeah.
While I was transitioning into more of an actor, and the other I mean, let's see, what's a good anecdote to share? I think one of the best learning experiences for me moving from writer brain to actor brain is that when I wrote it, I had there was a scene that I thought was the emotional scene, right? I was like, as a writer, I was like, this is the emotional scene, and then as an actor, I was doing it and I was like, it's not coming. It's not working. And I talked to my director and she's like, it's not that scene. This isn't the scene.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't know about, I wrote the damn thing. I should know.
Right. Yeah.
And but I was like, all right, I just you gotta trust your people. And so I trusted her, and I was like, all right, we'll do it. And then when we were doing the scene in the hospital, and you'll see the film, I don't want to give it away.
Yeah.
All ye audience listening in. But we got to the scene, the emotional, moment in the film, and it all came up for me. I'm getting it now, actually.
Yeah.
The emotion came easily, and it just flowed, and I had this kind of brilliant realization. I was like, oh, I thought I knew my piece, but actually it was a different hat, right? As the writer, I thought it was one thing, and as an actor, I realized it was something else entirely. And that's
so cool to be able to find it in the moment like that, and it's also it's good. I would say a good practice by you that you were able to like let the first one go and just be like, okay, this isn't it, and like be able to trust Kiara to be like, yeah, okay, we'll it will be the next one or whatever. That's great.
Yeah, trust. So important. So difficult. So important.
It really is. No, I mean, it is the hardest thing. Like I've find my, in my full-time job and stuff, like sometimes a hard time just delegating stuff. And so like being able to build that trust is a very important part of filmmaking. And
yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it just sort of goes to show you how important the building the team is, right? Like putting together a cast and a crew is such an important part of the process, because ultimately, like, you want to be surrounded by like-minded individuals who you can trust to do their jobs so that you can do your job, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's it really shows what a precarious balance the art of filmmaking is. You put it so much in other people's hands. But so just, now that Fractal's been out on the road for a while, it's had a very successful run. It's won awards. You've won some awards personally. And how have you found the reception at festivals that you've attended, and just how's the reception been in general for the film?
Yeah, I mean, it's been so heartwarming. It's been an incredible process. The Fractal follows the story of a young woman who experiences a miscarriage. And I've had so many conversations with people who haven't been able to talk about their own personal experiences, and after having seen my film, have come up to me to share their own experience with that, and talk about how they don't have an outlet for it. They felt that their experience had been reflected in my art, which is, I think, the biggest and most heart-touching
absolutely
experience to hear that your art has touched someone is just what a dream. Speaking of dreams. And so it's been well received, I think. Although of course, like there are people who, afterwards are like, I didn't get it.
Yeah.
Okay. It wasn't for you.
Well, it's not for you. Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, I think it's something that has resonated with me in the a couple weeks since I watched the first time and have watched it a couple of times since then. But it's definitely it's a heart-wrenching story, and it's very well done. And I think you did a great job writing, and your acting in it is phenomenal as well. And being the producer, you put together a great team to make it all come together. So want to make sure they're getting their credit too. So
yeah, I had a really good team on this one.
Yeah. So congratulations on that and a successful run, because I believe this is the last festival it's going to be screening at.
This will be the last time to see it in person and on the silver screen, so to speak.
I've heard no better sell than to come to the Norwalk Film Festival than you have to see Fractal one more time.
I mean, listen, it does make a difference. Seeing it in a room full of people is an experience that we collectively as a society don't have as much anymore. And especially since the pandemic, it's such a wonderful way to come out and support the artists, come out and make friends, talk to new people. It's everyone should come. It's gonna be great.
There we go. I mean, just put that up on the billboard. We got Keaton's endorsement. There we go.
2 thumbs up.
Yeah. All right. So now that this one is wrapping its run, what do you have coming up next?
Thank you so much for that prompt, Sean. I was gearing up my my pen here. Quite serendipitously, as Fractal is going to be at its final festival in Norwalk, Julia Maggiolo and I are going to be filming our next Squeaky Wheel production in Norwalk itself in February. So we'll be in Norwalk for a couple of months this year.
Yeah, that's great.
2024, the year of Norwalk. And So we have a short film that we'll be filming that's currently fundraising on Indiegogo. So I'll just do a quick plug if anybody's interested in supporting our work, and please take a look at we have the link in our profile in Squeaky Wheel Entertainment, and it's a short film about revenge and about women supporting women, and it's not like Fractal at all. It's a lot more. It's a lot more like modern. It's a little bit more chic. It's a little bit dark. Well, Fractal is dark. My whole life is dark. But it's about a woman who is seeking revenge after her sister's death. So it's all
right.
It's an intriguing story.
I love it. I'm hooked. Can't wait to see it.
And it's called Method and Madness. So
yes, I'll make sure to have a link as well with this. So cool. Well, thank you so much, Keaton, for taking the time to chat today about Fractal. As I said, really enjoyed it, and I really am excited for people to see it on the big screen of the Wall Street Theater, January 20th and 21st in Norwalk. It's going to be a great weekend. Once again, as you said, it's full of friends and great films. So we're looking forward to seeing you and seeing the film and everybody else coming out that weekend.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be joining for this one. So I'll be up there, and I'll be happy to talk to anybody about it in person. And I'm so excited to share it with the community. So thank you again for having us.
Thanks again to Keaton for hanging out to talk about Fractal. It's a great film and part of a great lineup of our festival this year. Come out to the Wall Street Theater January 20th and 21st to see it along with all of our other films. And make sure to visit our website, norwalkfilmfestival.org, for ticketing info, schedules, and more. We are an entirely volunteer-run organization, and we couldn't do it without you. Help us spread the word by following us on all social media platforms under the handle @Norwalk Film Festival. There, you'll get all the up-to-date details on everything happening with the festival. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to seeing you in Norwalk.